ahead, Neil.
For a start, I've seen the Atlanta Falcons offensive line, and that's all I needed to see, really. On you go, James.
Yeah, obviously I'm picking the Eagles but I'm scared because the Falcons lost the game. I thought they had pretty much no reason to lose. The Eagles secondary let rookie wide receivers run roughshod over them, and we're playing Julio Jones this week. So let's just say that if we don't get to Matt Ryan, I'm going to be petrified as far as him, I don't know, buck 80 and 2 touchdowns or something like that. That's scaring me right now. We've always had problems with Julio. And the last 3 times we played Atlanta, all 3 games, including the playoffs, were in Philly. This is in Atlanta.
Can Atlanta run the ball, though? That's my concern, because you need to run the ball a little bit against that defensive front for the Eagles, and I'm not sure they can run the ball.
Well, would you like to know what MJ thinks about what his team can and cannot do?
Sure. Let's hear what MJ has to say.
MJ says that Dirk Cutter has to do a few things different. I think a lot of people have said he needs to do a couple things different. He has to work on the offensive line and their ability to protect Ryan. O-line gave up 4 sacks. Ryan threw 2 picks. He only threw 7 last season, so 2 this week were unacceptable. The offense has to get back to what they looked like during Ryan's MVP season. The run game has got to get going so that the passing game can open up. The Dirty Birds have too many weapons for them to look like they did last week. On defense, with DQ as the defensive coordinator, we cannot look like we looked last week. I love my Dirty Birds. I'm always going to call them out on their shortcomings. Last week's performance reminded me of those past years where the Falcons defense was known for not being able to stop anyone. They looked like that again last week. They were picked apart on the run and passing games. So the defense has to step up and be the ball hawking speedsters we know they can be. The offense has to protect Ryan. He has time to get the offense going. I think, again, we talked about the Ben Roethlisberger home and away. You know, Ben Roethlisberger at home is much different than Ben Roethlisberger away. The same goes for the Falcons. They're a much different team in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium than they are on the road. And I like the Falcons. History also, by the way, has the Falcons winning in Atlanta versus on the road in Philadelphia. Yeah,
I know. Quick injury hits. Chris Lindstrom, guard for the Falcons, he's on injury reserve. Wes Schweitzer, another guard for the Falcons, shows up on the injury report. He's listed as questionable. For the Eagles, Fletcher Cox is limited in practice with a toe injury. Derek Barnett has a shoulder injury. He's limited in practice. And Malik Jackson was placed on injury reserve. I don't have anything to counter what MJ said. He's right. His squad is much better at home than it is on the road. I just hope that the offensive staff of Philadelphia pulls their heads out of their butts and not do what we did in the first half against Washington, which is try to throw in every down.
Who's your running back? Because when I was watching the game, it looked like it was Darren Sproles.
It doesn't matter who the running back is. With the offensive line we have between Sproles, Sanders, Howard, and Clement, it doesn't matter who's back there. We need to run the ball because we came out the second half. We ran the ball over 7 straight times on that first possession in the third quarter, and all 4 of them got touches, and all 4 of them got at least 6 or 7 yards of carry. So we need to lean on the offensive line against Atlanta and copy what Minnesota did. And we have to stuff it down their throats 38 times, then so be it.
See, I disagree with you. I think you have too much of a committee. I think you need to solidify who's the guy that's going to get the rock the most.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters with this offense. It's whoever's got the hot hand. And Sunday just happened to be Darren Sproles, but I think they wanted to be Miles Sanders.
Did I hear correctly, though, James? Did you not say Julio Jones has a foot on the injury report? I mean, that must be the first time in his 10-year career.
No. Actually, Julio Jones is not listed on the injury report this week, which is shocking because he normally is listed on the injury report with a foot injury.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like that dude in New England with that shoulder for 5 years in a row.
That's right. Right. Monday Night Football is the Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets.
Okay, and before you start, Jay, I have to go back to last week's podcast and just point out that my point about having the crappy games on at the start of the season on primetime to get these rubbishy teams out of the way, I produced this as exhibit number 2.
The Cleveland Browns, the hyped up Cleveland Browns, dropped from 9 to 18 in the power rankings because they stumbled out. That is the biggest change for any team this week. The Jets dropped from 23 to 25. Browns are favored by 2.5. I imagine that line's going to change. Sam Darnold has mono. He's going to miss a few weeks. I can tell you right now, as someone who has had mono in the past, the problem is his spleen. He can't get tackled because his spleen could rupture, and obviously that would cause a lot of internal problems for the body. He's out for at least 2 weeks. Most likely could be out for up to 4 weeks.
How did you catch mono?
Mono is not very fun. How did I catch mono?
Yeah. Can you
freshman year in college? I'm just gonna say it was a good year.
Oh God.
Okay.
Yikes.
So anyway, I don't know how Sam Darnold caught mono. I'm gonna guess it was a similar way. But here's the best part, Neil. His backup is named Trevor.
Hey,
Simeon.
That's a loss then straight away.
Well, but you went with the Jets. You're going with Trevor Simeon and the Jets.
Yeah, I'm
changing that pick.
Yeah, I would probably change the pick if Darnold isn't playing for sure. Yeah.
He's definitely not playing.
He's definitely not playing. Okay, right then I changed the pick to the Browns. Personally, I really couldn't care less because I'm not going to be watching this crap. But I would say, James, I hope you're wearing your $350,000 watch while doing this podcast.
Yeah, I don't make nearly that much money, and I'm going with the Browns only because Darnold's not playing. Like, if Darnold didn't play, I would have probably kept switching this pick all the way up until Monday night. But since he's out, that's the only reason I'm picking Cleveland, because I really don't want to pick Cleveland now for the next several weeks.
I'm a little disappointed that Cleveland didn't live up to the hype. That they really did not look good, and really it was Baker Mayfield that didn't look very good.
Is it the offensive line, or what is it? What happened? Come on, James, you're a huge fan.
It's everything, unfortunately. Like, you name anybody wearing a Cleveland uniform on that coaching staff. They looked horrid, even with the first touchdown drive. That wasn't as great as people make it out to be. They pretty much believed their own press clippings. They figured they'd show up and Tennessee would roll over, and Tennessee came out and they, Singletary said they would go out and we hit people in the mouth.
Talking about coaches who could lose their job, is the kitchen getting hot?
No.
It's one game.
It's not just the game, though, is it? It's not just the game.
Overreact, Neil. This is exactly what we're trying not to do. We're not trying to overreact.
Yeah. We're definitely trying to overreact. Hey,
yeah,
the sky is falling.
And I know last year 7 of the teams that lost in week 1 went on to make the playoffs, but I do look at that team and think, yeah, they lost the game, but there was also issues there. You can't have your wide receiver going around with a $250,000 watch or $350,000 watch on the field.
Actually, you can if said company is paying you to wear that watch on the field, which is most likely happening.
Yeah, but James, you can do it if you're having a great performance and you win a game. I don't think you can be doing that. The offensive line, what was that? The left tackle kicking somebody in the head, which was fabulous. I loved it. But what's that?
Gosh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, and then you've got a defense with some real great players there who just looked like they couldn't be bothered. And Mayfield was doing his best impression of Jameis Winston.
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
that was poor, James. That was a bad performance.
That hurt.
He looked like the sort of guy who is maybe needing a good beat down because he's thinking way above his station right now. If I had been the left tackle, I'd have kicked Mayfield in the head.
Oh gosh, Neil is on fire, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it was terrible. Come on, guys, that was the worst performance of week 1. Sure,
I'm not arguing with you. I agree wholeheartedly.
If you're referring to my picks last week, yes, I think you're right. That was the worst performance out of week 1. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is all 16 games picked for you with reasons and some without. And the power rankings supplied to you by the SuperFans. If you want to know the power rankings with Greg's picks in,
God, no.
I will go through it real quickly. Kansas City, number 1, New Orleans, number 2, New England, 3, Rams, 4, Philly, 5, Dallas, 6, Green Bay, 7, Minnesota, 8, Seattle, 9, Chargers, 10, Texans, 11, Baltimore, 12, Chicago, 12, 13, Pittsburgh, 14, Tennessee, 15, Carolina, 16, Atlanta, Cleveland, Indy, Jacksonville, Buffalo, San Francisco, Oakland, Detroit, New York Jets, Cincinnati, Arizona, Denver, Washington, Tampa Bay, the Giants, and what doesn't change is Miami. Literally all of the SuperFans have put Miami dead last in the power rankings. That doesn't happen often. There's rarely a time we have 100% agreement on any team.
Yeah.
You give up 60 points, you end up at the bottom.
Started at the bottom. Now they're here. We'll see if they can fix that. The way to get in touch with us, nextfanup@gmail.com. We got a fantasy football show coming to you on Saturday morning. So if you got fantasy football type questions, send them in, nextfanup@gmail.com. You can tweet us at NFU Podcast, facebook.com/NFU Podcast. Put your fantasy questions there. Coming tomorrow, we'll be highlighting the games of the week with the Superfan battles. I know that the Rams and the Saints will be one because I yelled at them for skipping their deadline on that. And a few other games will be highlighted. I know the Chiefs Raiders are going to be highlighted, not so much because we wanted it or needed it, but because when you put Nick and Monty on a show together, it's just comedy gold.
Oh my gosh, I definitely have to listen to that one now.
It's pretty much why you do that. So, yeah. And then Saturday morning, we'll have fantasy football with Josh. I don't know who his guest is. Again, I got to get on that. I got to get him to let me know who his guest is so we can tease that moving forward. And Ron, the Dolphins tag team superfan, has been kind enough to produce for us recap shows, which will be available for you first thing every Monday. So you'll get the superfan recap and reactions for you. All available wherever great podcasts are heard: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whichever app you enjoy listening to podcasts on. We are there. And with that, I leave you with Andy Dalton, the guy that Neil said had a great first week. There you have it.
I never even heard his interview, so I don't know the context in which it was said. I don't know what he said before. I don't know what he said after. So I still haven't seen it. I'm not going to watch it. I don't care, but I've got no ill will towards Jay. There's no feud between me and Jay. I think we lost the game. He said what he said, and we're moving on. That's in the past now.